Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Welcome to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community. We are here on another fantastic Friday at Mission Fed Studios because this show is brought to you by Mission Federal Credit Union, doing amazing things for San Diego for over 60 years. I am not Drew Schlosberg. For those of you who have been listening for the last 18 years to Drew's show, I am not Drew. I am Charles Parisi from Cloudcast Media. But fortunately, we're joined by his regular co-pilot, Kristen Fogel, who also is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. Kristen.
Hello.
Here we are again.
What a pleasure.
Wow. And I tell you, this conversation, this organization, superstars. I know them well.
Yay.
And talking about an organization with impact.
Yeah, you fly this plane then. I'll just be along for the ride and ask supplemental questions.
I don't know if I want to fly the plane all by myself because there's a lot of blinking buttons in front of me and I'm getting a little nervous.
Okay.
But in any event, we will jump in because we are joined here today by Juliet Terramin, from the Business Development Officer from Accessity. Juliet, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow.
It's a pleasure.
So in any event, Accessity. Let me start by saying, I know your CEO. She's a rock star. I love her. Elizabeth Schott.
She is.
Incredible what she's done here in San Diego. But tell us, but I love the name. You used to be known as Axion.
We did.
And then you did a brand shift and a new name to Accessity.
We did, yes. Accessity is a combination of two words, access and community. So bringing access to capital and then also building a community of resources for our small businesses. So we're not just giving them money, we're giving them resources as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, since you mentioned it, you broke that up for us. That's great. So before we learn a little bit more about your mission, talk to us about access. Why? I love the word. It's one of my favorite words. Why is access so important?
Yeah, absolutely. Access to capital is so hard, especially for startup businesses. So these are pre-revenue businesses who go into a bank or go into a credit union and are looking for funding, right? And so they can't get it as a startup business. Usually a bank or a credit union requires 2 years in business. So they provide funding to our organization so that we can provide that access to capital to get them started. We work with both startup and existing businesses, but that aspect of access to capital is so important for these startups.
Yeah, no question. And you mentioned something too, because when you go to traditional lenders, there are challenges, understandably so, because banks and credit unions have specific lending standards, and it may be whether it's how long you've been in business or specific, credit scores, et cetera. But you do things a little bit differently.
We do.
Okay.
We have a different underwriting criteria. What that means is that we evaluate everything a little bit differently, a little bit more flexible. We look at outside income as well, so that businesses who are just starting and don't have any revenue can use another job or a spouse's income to show that they have the ability to repay a loan.
Yeah. I want to mention something that I think I heard a long time ago from Elizabeth, and I've never forgotten it. I don't want to overstate it, because financial discipline and knowledge is important, and I want to talk about some of the services you provide. But I think she mentioned to me one time, it's character as well, not just credit. Can you mention that? Discuss that a little bit?
Well, we can see your character in your credit, but it's also your character. It includes how much research you've done. Have you looked at the industry you're going into? Have you looked into the location of the space you want to open, if it's a physical location? So all of that goes into character because you're doing the research, you're putting in the effort. So that is something that we really take into consideration when we're looking at lending.
Well, listen, I think that's great because once upon a time, community lending preceded the existence of FICO scores and the digitization of data. Once upon a time, we helped small businesses get going without knowing all of that stuff. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in many respects, you're still tapping into the old days when people coming to this country, immigrants, perhaps like my family or Kristen, your family or immigrants coming to, they, needed a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And where could they go to get that capital to get going? And you're kind of bridging the new world and the old world in some sense.
Yeah, and we don't have a minimum FICO score. So that's really what we're trying to do, is help people who don't have a lot of credit established or any credit established. They can be somebody that doesn't have a FICO score or who has an ITIN number, so doesn't yet have a social.
Yeah, that's incredible, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so tell us a story. From start to finish, tell us a story that our listeners will say, that's incredible, and now I really understand what Accessity does.
So this is always my favorite thing to talk about because there's so many stories, right? But I think one of my favorite, and I think because he was one of my first clients, it really stuck with me. I mean, he was the first client that I went to by myself and signed loan documents with him in person before COVID. But he is somebody, he's an immigrant. He came here from Ethiopia, and he's a young gentleman. I mean, he's in his early 30s. He started his business. He really wanted to become an entrepreneur. He went to school for business. He was able to purchase a farmer's market vendor, which was selling Thai food in the local Hillcrest farmer's market. And he purchased that business from a Thai woman. And he's Ethiopian. And so you're saying, what is the correlation?
Yeah.
Well, he really wants to have this umbrella company with all these businesses that are all these different kinds of food, right? To bring the culture to, communities, right? Yeah. And so we gave him his first loan. It was $8,000 to purchase this business, this Thai food vending business. And he just thrived. I mean, she already had a name. She had these famous coconut pancakes that everybody would come to the market for.
Yes, please.
Yeah, right? And it's still in business. It's called Coconut & Co. You can find it at the Hillcrest Market.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, he wanted to start a chicken and waffles restaurant. And this was so interesting because it seems such a shift, right?
Yeah.
But he had so much experience in food. And so then he came back to Accessity. We gave him his second loan, and we were able to provide him capital to start his first location. And this is Ali's Chicken and Waffles in City Heights. And I'm a little biased because I'm in City Heights as well. But it's a great location. He went about it very smart. He went into a location with a donut shop. So they actually share a rent, right? And so they share a space. So it's a small grab and go type of place, and they blew up during COVID. And you would think, during COVID, you wouldn't become really busy, right? Food businesses especially, but
no way. The takeout industry was crazy. I would order sushi and it would be like 3-hour wait. That was like the time to do it.
And because he was primarily takeout, he blew up.
Yeah.
Absolutely blew up. And he really incorporated his Ethiopian culture into his food, right? And so a lot of the spices on the chicken were these Ethiopian spices. Then he had the Thai tea from the Thai business. And then he also had this specialized tea that his grandmother used to make that he would sell there as well. So it was this really great combination of flavors and cultures. And then what do you think happened? He blew up again.
Yeah.
And we provided a third loan in order to open up his second location downtown San Diego, and he's thriving.
Okay. I was like, can he do Ethiopian food too? Because Ethiopian food is delicious in its own right too. So just a request from you.
Kristen, you just literally stole my question.
Yeah.
I love Ethiopian food.
Yeah.
Outside of Italian food, which of course will always be number one.
Sure.
Ethiopian is, boy, oh boy. And it's my daughter's favorite when she's not eating Italian food.
Yeah.
There's a couple spots we love in San Diego, but boy, maybe you need to do a fourth loan,
Yeah.
Juliet, and open up an
I said,
Ethiopian
he wants to do all these different restaurants and food businesses under this umbrella company.
That's cool.
And this is somebody who came to us with very little credit. I mean, he is, I want to say like I said, mid-30s. So he didn't have a lot of credit established.
Yeah.
So we started really small with him. We gave him $8,000. And the second time he got 25, I believe. Then the third time he got 40. Then our whole mission is to provide, access to capital for these businesses, but then for them to go to a bank and get traditional forms of credit. I got him a bank loan.
Nice.
So he was able to transition over to the bank lending side.
That's fantastic.
Not saying he won't come back to us, but he has really utilized a lot of the resources that we provide. We have a credit counseling resource that we allow people to go through one-on-one credit counseling for free through a partnership with another nonprofit. So he took advantage of that and helped build his credit. increase his credit score and not only establish his credit, but become eligible for a bank loan.
Mm-hmm.
So can we talk a little bit about some of those resources and classes and workshops and things like that? Are those just for the people that are applying for loans, or are they for the general public? Tell me a little bit about all of these things.
Absolutely. Anybody who speaks with me is able to access the credit counseling.
Cool.
So you just need to provide your phone number, your email address. I send you the information. So that's what I consider a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's anybody that I speak with. So if you're interested, if that sounds like something you need help with in order to get your business going, reach out to us. And then all of our other resources, our workshops, our webinars, our academy are open to the public.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And are they free, low cost?
They're free.
Okay.
The academy is a 10-week program for startup businesses. That is a small fee up front. And then if you complete all the classes, it is reimbursed.
That's awesome. Cool.
Well, I'll tell you, this story with Ali is such an incredible story because he's experiencing wonderful success. You came here to this country from Ethiopia. How much is he loving San Diego, and how much is he loving being in America?
I mean, he loves it. Yeah. I think he really is the epitome of what you would say the American dream is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he came here, he's providing for his family, living with his family, multi-generational household, able to provide, the main source of income for his family. And now he has 3 locations.
Well, that's absolutely incredible. So getting back to the numbers for a second, what's your minimal loan and what's your maximum loan?
Our minimum loan is $300.
Wow.
It doesn't happen often. A couple $1,000s is usually our typical average small loan size. I think the most recent one I've done at that size was $2,500. But they can get $300 if they need.
Nice.
And then we go up to $100,000.
So I'll tell you, Kristen, what's interesting for me to think about, because
you want to start a business together?
Well, that's a good idea. Crispy bacon, I'm thinking.
Crispy bacon. Okay.
Crispy bacon franchise.
It'd be really fun. What could I do with $300?
Juliet, do you like crispy bacon?
$100,000.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Anyway, sorry.
So in any event, we digress.
Yeah,
you can call me offline.
Yeah, exactly. So share. Here's what I'm thinking about, Kristen.
Okay.
Because an individual coming to you for even a $500 loan, and I'm sure you've had amounts that low, that was probably as important to them as a $100,000 loan.
Yeah.
Can you, any stories you can tell on one of those smaller micro loans, 500? I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be people who are looking to create jewelry. We were just talking about that on the way in.
Cool.
Somebody who just needs a little bit of materials, and they're not really expensive, but they want to finance it rather than using their own money or putting on a credit card. Credit card has compounding interest, which is extremely expensive. You have annual fees, and so it makes more sense to do a business loan. So then you can write it off as a business expense, the interest. But, really just small materials is usually what I see when I see those small loans.
So you're mentioning the interest, which was another question I had. So there is no compounding interest on this. What are your interest rates different? Tell me about that. I know nothing, obviously.
No, that's okay.
I'm showing my stripes. Yeah.
Compounding interest is credit cards.
Yeah.
So we offer simple interest rate. Our interest rates are fixed. So once you get locked into an interest rate with us, that's your interest rate. Our range is 8.99 to 14.99%. That's based on your industry. So if you're a high-risk industry, it's based on your time in business. And it is also based on your personal FICO score. So if you have no FICO score, you're a high-risk business, meaning like a food business, and you're just starting up, you're going to get 14.99%.
Gotcha.
But then that's locked in. You can pay your loan off whenever you'd like. But yeah, it is a simple interest rate.
Gotcha.
Well, and you mentioned you can pay it off whenever you like. What's the typical loan maturity?
Yeah, we go up to about 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
5 years.
That's fantastic.
I mean, you're not going to get $500 at 5 years. You're going to get $500 more at probably 12 months.
Okay, well, actually, this will be good for, I think, the community as well, because a lot of people I don't think understand there's so many different types of categories of lenders. We know big banks and community banks and credit unions, and of course, the show is brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, an incredible community lender by every measurement. But you're technically what's known as a CFDI, am I correct?
It's a CDFI, yeah. It's called a Community Development.
What are you doing?
CDFI.
Financial Institution. It's a mouthful. Community Development Financial Institution.
Okay, and what does that mean in terms of from a regulatory standpoint? What does that mean?
Yeah, it means that we are a community organization that is funded by other entities in order to give that access to businesses that can't get it through a traditional sense. So we are a nonprofit organization. We are funded by the cities, the state, the federal government as well, and we get funding, and then we give that money out as far as term loans.
Okay, so you have your own source of capital in order to lend to the community the way that you do.
Yeah. And then once we get paid back from those clients, it goes right back into the cycle.
Wow. Okay. Well, why don't we do this? Let's take, Kristen, how about if we take a little bit of a break? Is that okay with you, Juliet?
Absolutely.
We're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we get back, let's talk a little bit more about impact, the need in San Diego, and I also want to talk a little bit about kind of the trajectory of your own growth, 30 years here in San Diego. So why don't we cover some of those things when we get back? You've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community, part of Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing amazing things for San Diego, including shows like this for over 60 years.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us. Welcome back to Drew Schlosberg, Spotlighting the Community. We're having a fantastic conversation with Juliet Terramin, Business Development Officer for Accessity, one of the really impactful organizations in San Diego, helping launch, start, nurture, grow small businesses here in San Diego. My name is Charles Parisi, filling in for Drew Schlosberg, and I'm here, as always, with his co-pilot, the one and only Kristen Fogel.
Hello.
How are you doing, Kristen?
Still well.
Isn't it great to hear stories of impact like this?
Heck yeah.
And by the way, now I'm really hungry because we heard all about this incredible success story called Ollie's Chicken and Waffles on their third location now. Am I correct, Juliet?
Second location for Ollie's Chicken and Waffles. He has Coconut & Co. at the farmer's market, which is still doing Thai food and coconut pancakes.
Now I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
And here it is, a Friday morning, and we haven't eaten yet, have we, Kristen?
We've actually had quite a bit. We had crispy bacon. I had a muffin.
But coconut pancakes?
But coconut
for
pancakes.
breakfast?
Yeah. For
Wow,
sure.
crazy. 30 years in San Diego, Juliet, has Accessity's been here. And if I did my research right, unfortunately, you provided some of that research. 30 years ago, you started with 5 loans and a total loan amount of $6,000, I believe.
Yes.
And now you've lent out over $70 million in San Diego. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So can you imagine your own growth trajectory, because you're an entrepreneurial organization?
Yeah.
5 loans, $1,200 average loan, Kristen, $6,000 total. And now look what you're doing.
And that's not just in San Diego County. We actually cover 6 counties now. So we've grown. We started in San Diego. We grew, and most recently we expanded up to LA and Orange County. We also cover San Bernardino, Riverside, and Imperial Valley as well.
Cool.
Wow, that's incredible. So give us a feel for 2023. First of all, let's talk impact. Give us a feel for what 2023, or maybe in the first half of 2024, looked like for Accessity. How many lives did you lift? How many businesses did you help launch?
So in 2020, every year we've been growing. I've been with the organization for 6 years. Every year we've been growing. We've been lending out more money to more businesses. Last year we did $11.9 million to, I believe it was about 386 entrepreneurs.
Wow.
And that's again across our 6 regions.
So the average loan size is in 25,000
try to keep it around 25,000.
Okay.
So really it's that small lending.
Wow. That's incredible though. So nearly 400, how many of the 400, well, I'm going to round it off to 400.
Okay.
Of the nearly 400 businesses, how many of those were repeat borrowers?
Oh, that's a great question. Even this month I've had 2 already out of 7. So they do come back. You know, our whole mission is to get them to a point where they're able to go to a traditional lender. But we do have a lot of repeat clients as well. And I will say from last year, 93% of our lending went to women entrepreneurs of color, so self-identifying as minority owned, and then low-income entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Hey, question for you, because you've learned a lot over, you haven't been with the organization for 30 years, but collectively, the organization's learned quite a bit about what will work, what won't work, either principles of entrepreneurship, principles of character, principles of financial management. Give us a feel for what are some of the key things you've learned in your 7 years with Accessity that are good predictors of a successful business?
Oh, that's a great question.
That is a great question. That's a really good question.
Well, thank you both.
Yeah.
I would say the people who come who have done their research, right, at the beginning, somebody who has really an understanding of the industry they're getting into, those are the most successful businesses. What I speak to a lot of people every single day. I talk to a lot of people who, want to start a food business, but they have no experience in the food industry. Those are the businesses that struggle.
Yeah.
So I would say the more research you do, the more you take advantage of all the community organizations that are here to be resources, right? There's a small business development center all across the nation, and here in San Diego. That's a very strong organization providing workshops and webinars. There's SCORE, there's Women's Business Center, there's that credit resource I mentioned earlier. So there's all of this community of support that you can access as an entrepreneur in order to, again, not just get money, but get the resources and the knowledge and everything that you need in order to become successful, because that's a huge part of our mission is that education piece.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you're saying something really, really important, because I would say this as I'm lucky enough, I've been an entrepreneur since I'm 25. And it is so important to spend your time and your brain power and think before you raise money or spend money.
Yeah.
Really think through, the business model, the industry you're going to. So it's great for you to point that out, because it's critical. How about Kristen? How about you? You've run a business for 20 years.
No. I've been with Writers Inc. for like 12 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're in your 20th anniversary, but you've been running a business for 12 years. How does that resonate with you, what Juliet's mentioning?
Well, we use SCORE quite a bit for our stuff, so that, every time my bookkeeper and I have a question about something or need more information, that's kind of like the first thing. Like, well, have you talked to SCORE? Does SCORE have that? So just always seeking out that educational component is so important. Yeah.
Juliet, the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and kicking in San Diego. It's a very, very sharing entrepreneurial community. What are some of the challenges you're seeing to precluding individuals from starting businesses? What are you seeing in the environment?
Yeah. Inflation. Yeah. I mean,
that everything is so expensive.
Everything is so expensive. Even our businesses that are in business, their produce costs have gone up, or their materials have gone up, right? In order to make a pair of earrings or whatever they're making, the products go up. So then the price goes up. So then that is a huge issue that we're seeing. It's a huge issue.
Yeah. I'm wondering about the sort of businesses that you were seeing kind of, because you started before the pandemic, and then in the beginning there, I'm wondering like what sort of innovation or different types of businesses were kind of rearing their heads.
Honestly, it's so interesting because San Diego, I'm the business development officer here in San Diego, so I see all kinds of businesses. I would say my portfolio of clients is so diverse. It's not, even during the pandemic, there were so many, I shouldn't say during the pandemic, maybe not peak pandemic, but maybe a year after, still food businesses were starting. It's a huge thing right now, and there's a lot of places closing, unfortunately, but then those leases are opening up. Yeah. And these businesses are eager to get out, and so they have equipment and kitchens, and they have everything ready for other businesses, other restaurants to come in. So we don't see a slowdown in that specifically in San Diego. It's really diverse in the kind of clients that I have. I don't know if, nationally we're regarded as a food city, but I regard us as a food city. So, I think it's a perfect place to start a food business. And just to be clear, we don't just lend to food businesses. We have a lot of service-based businesses as well. People who don't even need an office, they can work from home. So that might be something that we've seen an uptick in.
Cool.
Yeah. And by the way, the Bears started during a pandemic. Oh, did I just do a plug for the TV show The Bear? Okay, I didn't mean to do that because we're on Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing amazing things for San Diego for over 60 years. And I did not mean to do a shameless plug for The Bear, a restaurant that started during the pandemic. We do goofy things here sometimes, Juliet. I got a question for you. I think I saw something that you let us know about called an Emerge loan.
Yes, thank you for bringing it up.
What is Emerge?
Okay, so,
I love the name, by the way.
Yeah, Emerge. It's a program that was really, it was money that was given to us by the federal government. It was $5.8 million. And this is from the U.S. Department of the Treasury's CDFI Equitable Recovery Program. Mm-hmm. So the whole point of this program was to give money to entrepreneurs who didn't get the capital they needed during the pandemic, right? And so we all were aware of the PPP and the EIDL loans during the pandemic and how they went to these big corporations. A lot of small businesses didn't get them. They didn't qualify. They didn't have their financials together. So this is an effort to reach those businesses. So because it's a federal designated grant that we received, we were able to decide. And also, I just want to point out, this is the largest grant our organization has ever received in 29 years, going on 30 years. It's the largest grant we've ever received, $5.8 million at once. And so we created this program called Emerge. It was also the second largest grant allocation in the state of California, and it came to our organization. So we were really, really proud about that.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. We created this wonderful loan grant combo program. So we have historically only provided loans to small businesses. Mm-hmm. We now are able to provide this loan and grant combo program up to $50,000 in our Emerge program at a 6.99% fixed rate. So that's lower than our lowest interest rate that we currently offer with our regular program. And then if you make the first 6 consecutive payments, you get 10% back of that principal balance in a grant.
Wow, that's incredible.
Cool.
That's great. Hey, that's another thing. I think it's important, Kristen, to point out about organizations like Accessity. Mm-hmm. And when your businesses are successful and they repay their loans, they're essentially replenishing a pool of money to fund more businesses.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it becomes this incredible virtuous cycle. As businesses get launched, they succeed, they repay their loans, and the money goes back into the community to launch new companies.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's incredible. So, hey, we got about maybe a minute or so left. Please tell the community how they can find you.
Yes. And I also want to mention we have our 30th anniversary event that is happening on October 17th here in San Diego. It is open to the public. We'd love you to come. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. There's going to be entertainment. It's going to be just a celebration of 30 years in Southern California, lending to small businesses. So again, that's October 17th from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that'll be in Liberty Station.
Well, you said food, so I'm pretty sure Chris and I are available.
It's at Liberty Station where my office is too.
Yeah,
so
you're
the
right.
best part is that we're going to have it catered by a client. And then we're also going to have a mini marketplace. So we're going to have a few of our clients there selling their products.
Cool.
So you'll be able to see some Accessity funded businesses. But if you were going to follow us online, you can follow us at Accessity.org on social media. And then our website is accessity.org. We're a nonprofit, so don't forget that org.
So Juliet Terramin, Business Development Officer for Accessity, we have one final question for you. Can you come back again soon and bring one of your clients that you've helped launch a business? And if you want to bring Ollie's Chicken and Waffles, we'll give you the 10:30 slot so we can roll right into lunch and he can bring food.
Yeah.
That sounds great. He would love it.
So listen, it's wonderful having you here on the show to share the story of Accessity and all the businesses you're launching. $70 million of lending over 30 years, $11 million last year alone in the community to nearly 400 companies getting launched. Thank you so much for being here. You've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community. My name is Charles Parisi, filling in for Drew. Been here with Kristen Fogel, and you've been listening to a show brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing amazing things for over 60 years for the San Diego community. And we hope you come back and keep listening to Spotlight on the Community.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.